Something feels off in hip-hop right now. One man just took down a giant, and instead of celebrating quietly, he turned his attention somewhere else. One Instagram move, one liked comment, and suddenly one of the most powerful names in music went completely silent. When 50 Cent moves like this, history tells us one thing: this isn't a joke.
Jay-Z, you're just like Diddy. I can't stand your arrogant, condescending attitude. Nicki posted a video of you wearing a pink wig, and I retweeted it. Nothing more. You deserved it. Everyone knows about our feud. It's been going on for over 20 years. I've seen all your manipulation in the industry, from power struggles to cultural control. In 2015, when Tidal launched, Nicki helped you build it from nobody to a successful platform, and you immediately pocketed her $7.9 million in royalties. Lil Wayne was qualified for the Super Bowl, but you kicked him out of personal grudges. How is that any different from Diddy forcing his artists to sign unfair contracts? Just because Nicki didn't align with him, he resorts to this kind of suppression. You're truly despicable. What's even more interesting is that right after I showed him and his father's photo in the documentary Sean Combs: The Reckoning, you immediately had your lawyer send me a warning letter saying I overstepped my bounds. When you wrote the lyrics to exonerate Diddy back then, why didn't you think about today? You say the film is malicious slander, but why don't you dare sue me for defamation? Because all the evidence I have is true. I haven't finished reporting the witnesses in my documentary, and I haven't released all the Tidal profit sharing documents. If you know what's good for you, pay back what you owe Nicki with interest. Don't wait until I make Jay-Z Reckoning 2.
For decades, hip-hop has had a hierarchy. At the top sit a few untouchable names, artists who didn't just dominate charts, but built empires. These are the figures nobody questions publicly, the ones surrounded by lawyers, PR teams, and carefully curated narratives. But lately, that protection has been cracking, and at the center of this shift is Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. After the explosive success of the Netflix documentary Sean Diddy Combs: The Reckoning, executive produced by 50 Cent, the culture changed overnight. The documentary didn't just revisit Diddy's rise, it reframed his legacy through allegations, lawsuits, and long-ignored stories that had circulated for years, but were never fully confronted in mainstream media. Then came the real-world fallout. In 2024 and 2025, Diddy faced mounting legal trouble, including criminal charges and multiple civil lawsuits. By the time his trial concluded, the verdict marked one of the most dramatic downfalls hip-hop had ever seen. For many fans, it shattered the idea that wealth and influence could protect someone forever. And while the industry tried to move on, 50 Cent didn't. Instead, he leaned in. On Instagram, 50 posted memes, jokes, and commentary about Diddy's collapse, but beneath the trolling was something sharper. A message that no one was untouchable anymore. Then came the post that changed everything. 50 Cent shared a controversial caricature of Jay-Z. At first glance, it looked like classic 50 humor, petty, sarcastic, provocative. But the internet knows 50 too well to stop there. The real moment came in the comments. A fan wrote, "He's next, isn't he?" And 50 liked it. That single tap sent shockwaves through hip-hop social media. Blogs lit up, reaction channels rushed to upload. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok filled with the same question. Why Jay-Z? Why now? Because Jay-Z isn't just another rapper. He's Sean Carter, billionaire, mogul, co-founder of Roc Nation, business partner to global corporations, and one of the most carefully protected figures in entertainment history. And yet, after that moment, something strange happened. Jay-Z said nothing. No statement, no denial, no jokes, no social media activity addressing it. In hip-hop, silence is rarely accidental. For longtime fans, this silence felt different, especially given the timing. The culture was already in a post-reckoning mindset. People were revisiting old stories, old disputes, old accusations that had once been dismissed as conspiracy or jealousy. Suddenly, conversations that used to feel off-limits were back on the table, and Jay-Z's name started appearing in places it hadn't in years. One of those resurfaced stories involved Rymir Satterthwaite, a man who has long claimed Jay-Z is his biological father. For years, the case moved quietly through the legal system, ultimately stalling without a court-ordered DNA test. Jay-Z has consistently denied the claim, and no legal determination has ever established paternity. But recently, new court filings from Rymir's legal guardian, Wanda Lily Satterthwaite, alleged that procedural issues and legal barriers prevented the case from being fully examined. These claims are still disputed and unresolved, but their reemergence added fuel to an already growing fire. Then there were financial tensions. Nicki Minaj, once closely aligned with Jay-Z through his streaming platform Tidal, reignited a long-standing disagreement online. She publicly claimed she was underpaid after Jay-Z sold his stake in the company, suggesting she was owed far more than what she received. Jay-Z has not publicly responded to these claims. Again, silence. And 50 Cent noticed. He reposted content related to the situation, adding his trademark commentary. Not direct accusations, not confirmations. Just enough to keep the spotlight exactly where he wanted it. This is where people started connecting dots, because 50 Cent doesn't just attack randomly. His history shows a pattern. He studies his targets. He waits. And when he moves, it's usually after he's gained leverage, whether through public opinion, media projects, or timing. And right now, 50 has leverage. He's no longer just a rapper with opinions. He's a television producer, documentary executive, and media strategist. Through G-Unit Film and Television, he controls platforms that can shape narratives, not just react to them. That's what makes this moment different from past hip-hop beefs. This isn't diss tracks, this isn't club drama, this is media power. Fans started asking uncomfortable questions. Why do certain names always escape scrutiny? Why do some allegations follow people for decades without resolution? Why does silence work so well until it doesn't? And then there's the bigger picture. Jay-Z has always positioned himself as a symbol of elevation, from Brooklyn hustler to billionaire businessman. For many, he represents success beyond music. That image is powerful, and that's exactly why even whispers feel dangerous. Because when icons fall, they don't fall alone. They take systems with them, and that's why some people believe 50 Cent isn't just trolling, he's testing boundaries. Seeing how far the culture is willing to go, seeing whether silence still works. Others argue this is all calculated controversy, a master marketer using ambiguity to generate attention, clicks, and anticipation for future projects. And again, both things can be true. What matters is this: the conversation has started. Jay-Z's silence has created space, 50 Cent's hints have filled it, and the audience is paying attention. Whether this leads to another documentary, more revelations, or nothing at all, one thing is clear. The era of unquestioned power in hip-hop is fading. The audience is different now, the media is different, and the rules that once protected icons no longer feel solid. As the internet continues to debate, one question hangs in the air. Was that Instagram like just a joke, or was it a warning? Because if recent history has taught us anything, it's this. Once 50 Cent sets the narrative in motion, it rarely ends quietly. And this story is only getting started. By the time the dust settled from Diddy's collapse, one thing was undeniable. The culture had shifted. What once felt impossible had finally happened. Sean Diddy Combs, a man who spent decades as one of hip-hop's most powerful figures, was no longer protected by silence, wealth, or influence. And Curtis 50 Cent Jackson was standing in the middle of it all. The success of Sean Diddy Combs. The reckoning didn't just expose allegations, it exposed a system. A system where rumors were buried, stories were ignored, and powerful figures stayed untouchable simply because questioning them was inconvenient. But now, that system looked fragile, and people started asking a dangerous question. If Diddy could fall, who else could? That's where Jay-Z entered the conversation. For years, Jay-Z, born Sean Carter, mastered the art of staying above controversy. When disputes surfaced, they faded quietly. When accusations appeared, they were met with silence or legal distance. And more often than not, that strategy worked. Until now. Because silence doesn't land the same way in a post-reckoning era. When 50 Cent liked that "he's next" comment, it didn't feel random. It felt calculated, especially considering 50's long history with Jay-Z. The two were never close friends, but they shared the same industry ecosystem for decades. They competed for influence, not just chart positions. 50 has always claimed that Jay-Z's power came more from perception than numbers, that Jay-Z mastered branding better than anyone else. And perception is exactly what's under threat right now. As Diddy's case dominated headlines, fans started re-examining old alliances, old friendships, old power structures. Jay-Z and Diddy were often mentioned together in those conversations, not because of proven wrongdoing, but because of proximity, the same rooms, the same events, the same elite circles that seemed immune from scrutiny for years. And in gossip culture, proximity alone is enough to spark suspicion. Then came the resurfacing of long-buried stories. The Rymir Satterthwaite paternity case, which had been largely forgotten outside niche forums, returned to the spotlight. Rymir's guardian, Wanda Lily Satterthwaite, alleged that legal roadblocks and procedural issues prevented a full resolution. Jay-Z has denied the claim consistently, and no court has established paternity. Still, the timing of the renewed attention raised eyebrows. Why now? Because the public mood had changed. What once felt like tabloid noise suddenly felt like unfinished business. And that wasn't the only pressure point. Nicki Minaj's public statements about Tidal added another layer. Her claim that she was underpaid after Jay-Z sold the platform wasn't new, but airing it openly with numbers attached changed the tone. Jay-Z again chose not to respond publicly. Silence used to signal confidence. Now it signals avoidance. And 50 Cent noticed that shift immediately. He reposted, commented, and mocked, not directly accusing Jay-Z of anything specific, but framing him as part of a larger conversation about unchecked power. That's the key difference. 50 doesn't need to prove anything. He just needs to keep the conversation alive. Because once people start talking, control slips. And control is everything in hip-hop's elite circles. What makes this moment especially volatile is 50's evolution. He's no longer just an artist with beef. He's a media operator. Through G-Unit film and television, he's built relationships with networks, platforms, and streaming giants. That means when 50 hints at something, people assume there's more behind the curtain. Fans started speculating wildly. Is there another documentary coming? Is Jay-Z being positioned as the next untouchable to be questioned? Or is this all a long game to keep 50's name at the center of the culture critics argue it's all manipulation, controversy used as marketing? That 50 thrives on chaos, and every feud feeds his relevance. Supporters argue something else entirely. They believe 50 is doing what no one else dares to do, pulling back the curtain on an industry built on silence and fear. An industry where powerful figures rarely face consequences unless the public forces the issue. And history supports both interpretations, because 50 Cent has always blurred the line between truth, trolling, and strategy. What's undeniable is that Jay-Z's silence isn't calming things down. It's amplifying them. In the past, ignoring gossip worked because media cycles moved on quickly. But now silence becomes content. It gets analyzed, screenshotted, debated, reframed. Every day Jay-Z doesn't respond, speculation grows. And then there's the psychological aspect. Icons survive by controlling narratives. When they lose that control, even slightly, cracks form. And once cracks appear, everyone starts looking for what's underneath. That's why this moment feels bigger than a feud. It feels like a test. It feels like a test. Can legacy still protect power? Or has the audience changed too much? Because fans today don't just consume music. They consume backstories, ethics, accountability. They want explanations, not mystique. And Jay-Z's brand has always relied on mystique. Meanwhile, 50 Cent thrives in exposure. He turns discomfort into entertainment.
Why does it all come to a head now? Why now? Why?
Because he's the acceptable monster at this time. like R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this couch.
So who's next?
Y'all don't see the lineup?
Yeah, we see the lineup. I'm just waiting to see who's next.
Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. Why is everyone having such a hard time? He ain't doing shit different. He lined up D. Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and took his love. Lined up R. Kelly. He wants to be the one.
Yeah, shout out D. Haven. He actually hit us up, wanted to tell this story.
You need to talk to D. Haven.
Yeah, we need to talk to him.
I told you that last year when I put you on the phone with him.
You did.
I want you to think about this. Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling. Let's just say allegedly that happened. Now I want you to think about 106th and Park with Mary J. Blige. Free, who is a victim of Sean Carter.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige, who is a victim of Sean Combs, are sitting there talking about the death of Aaliyah amongst each other. Think about that. You got a Diddy victim, you got a Jay-Z victim, and you got a superstar gone. They know what happened. And yet, they had to sit there and have that conversation like they didn't know who did it. Think of the power of that moment. Think about Claudia Jordan right now. Claudia Jordan don't ever mention my mother name. She mentioned it yesterday. Talking about why people are afraid to come forward. You mean like you? You was Diddy girl. Corey was Jay-Z girl. Why don't you claim your friend? Claudia.
Suspicion, rumors into engagement, and right now, he's winning that game. But here's the most important part. Nothing concrete has been proven against Jay-Z in this moment. These are allegations, disputes, and public narratives, not verdicts. And that distinction matters. What's happening isn't a trial. It's a cultural shift. A shift where power is questioned publicly, not whispered privately. Where silence no longer feels safe. Where fans feel emboldened to ask uncomfortable questions without waiting for permission. And whether Jay-Z responds or not, the genie is already out of the bottle. Because the reckoning wasn't just about Diddy, it was about what comes after. And now, hip-hop is watching closely to see who speaks and who doesn't. At this point, the story isn't just about Jay-Z, it's about power and what happens when power stops feeling permanent. For decades, hip-hop operated under a quiet understanding. Certain figures were untouchable. Their names carried too much weight, their networks were too strong, and their silence was enough to shut conversations down. If controversy surfaced, it faded. If questions arose, they were buried under success, philanthropy, or legacy. But that era is ending. The downfall of Sean Diddy Combs didn't just expose one man, it exposed a system that relied on silence to survive. And once that system cracked, everything built on it started to feel unstable. That's why 50 Cent's role matters so much right now. Curtis Jackson isn't acting like someone looking for attention. He's acting like someone who understands leverage. With the success of The Reckoning, he proved that documentaries can do what diss tracks never could, force the public to reconsider history. And now every move he makes is viewed through that lens. When 50 hints, people listen. When he laughs, people speculate. When he stays quiet, people brace themselves. Jay-Z's continued silence only adds to the tension. In another era, staying quiet would have been the smartest move. Silence meant confidence. It meant control. But today, silence reads differently. It feels like distance, avoidance, strategy, and strategy invites scrutiny. That's why old disputes are resurfacing, why unresolved legal stories are being re-examined, why financial disagreements that were once brushed aside are suddenly trending again. Not because they're new, but because the public mood has changed. Fans don't just want icons anymore. They want accountability, they want transparency, they want answers. And when they don't get them, they start filling in the gaps. This doesn't mean guilt, it doesn't mean innocence, it means uncertainty. And uncertainty is dangerous for anyone whose power depends on a flawless narrative. What makes this moment even more volatile is that 50 Cent isn't fighting alone. Whether intentionally or not, he's become a magnet for every unresolved grievance in hip-hop. Artists who felt overlooked, partners who felt underpaid, voices that never had a platform. Suddenly, the idea that no one is untouchable doesn't feel radical anymore. It feels inevitable. That's why people are watching Jay-Z so closely. Not because of one allegation, not because of one rumor, but because of what he represents: legacy, control, longevity. And the real question now isn't whether Jay-Z will respond. It's whether responding even works anymore. Because once the culture starts questioning power, the old rules stop applying. Silence no longer protects. Reputation alone isn't enough. And history doesn't stay buried just because it's uncomfortable. This is what a reckoning looks like. Not explosions, not instant collapses, but slow shifts, where fear changes sides. And the audience realizes it has more power than it ever did before. Whether 50 Cent is exposing truth, stirring chaos, or playing a masterful media game, one thing is undeniable. He's changed the rules. And hip-hop will never operate the same way again. Because once people stop believing in untouchables, there's no going back. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who follows hip-hop culture, and subscribe to I Love Gossip for more stories you won't hear anywhere else.